time for calling me Tyler, but you failed on the practice, you failed on here. I'm Trevor Allen, and I just want to say I am so incredibly honored to be here on stage at the annual GenCon costume contest. I have seen everybody else who's coming up here tonight. I'm pretty sure I'm going to win. So there's a lot of good news there. It's been about 10 years since I've done any comedy. I last did it in college. So I saw something, I think it said 2 minutes to prepare, or 2 minutes material to prepare. So I'm like, fuck it, I'll just wing it and show up. I show up in 3 minutes that has to be prepared, and so thankfully I was able to muddle through that. But now I'm here with a much longer set and a very, very captive audience. And having been so long since I've done it, I have to say I am so glad I am cosplaying a character who's blind, because if I had to see any of your faces right now, I'd be so nervous. These notes were a lot more useful when I wrote them this morning. Anybody here in a fandom that they're just really invested in? Anybody like, Firefly, anything? Nope. We're at GenCon and not a single person in the audience is a fandom. All of you go home and play 5 board games as tenants. Fandoms are weird. Fandoms will make you do some really weird things. I was signing a mortgage about 3 years ago, and I realized as I signed away the next 30 years of my life that I had already signed over a much larger portion of my life to Brandon Sanderson. Do I have a lot of Brandon Sanderson fans in the audience? I've gone about 8 years never encountering anybody in the wild who likes Brandon except at GenCon. So you're among family. One of the weird things about Brandon fandom has done to me is it's consumed about 75% of my personality. As he said, I run the Lost Legends of Scott Hill podcast. It's a Mistborn adventure game, action play, tabletop role-playing podcast. And I like to tell people it's the best podcast around that requires 1,300 pages reading material before you can listen. So, if you haven't read Brandon Sanderson, if he'll give me about a 4-hour window to give you a primer on his universe, I can give you a lot of jokes. If not, I might have to move on from that. But the nice thing about being a fan of Brandon is he's very prolific. He releases like a book a year if he's not releasing 3 books a year. He sent out an email once saying, hey guys, I got good news for you. I wanted to write this book, so I wrote the sequel as a warm-up on the plane. And now you're getting 2 books. Somebody sent Patrick Rothfuss over to Brandon Sanderson to take some lessons. Fandoms are really weird. Did anybody have a really weird fandom purchase that they made this weekend? Go ahead and raise your hand if you bought something really weird. If you're raising your hand, speak out loud. I forgot that I'm blind. The first purchase I made at GenCon this year is a really odd one. 1, because I don't spend a lot of money on kitchen utensils, and 2, because I don't own a grill. I spent $30 on a spatula for a grill that's shaped like a meeple. That's all it takes. You shape something like a meeple, it's like you put a gun to my head. Now I have to go out and buy a grill. I ran into another problem today as I was wearing my cosplay around the convention center. I happened to have one of my Velcros stop working. And so I was approaching booths and I was asking people if they had any safety pins. And being the socially awkward person that I was, after somebody gave me a safety pin out of the kindness of their heart, I felt obligated to buy $15 worth of their rocks. They're pretty rocks at the very least, but that's how I spent 15 of my dollars today. Spatula on Thursday, rocks today. I can't wait to see what I come home with tomorrow. Another thing about this cosplay, all of the women in the audience here, I don't know how you do it. I have been 12 hours with hair and no pockets, and it has been the worst fucking experience of my life. I do not have it wrong. I think I'm going to go ahead and stay away from that one. It might look like I need it, but thankfully, and I want to thank you for giving me such such a nice segue into my next segment because it's just beautiful. Like I don't get all given gifts like that very often. I started exercising back in February, and I've tried before. It's not really been something I've done before. I had childhood obesity, but I've really been giving it a good go this year. And for anybody who is in the same boat who hasn't tried exercising, please let me tell you, it fucking sucks. I prefer to swim. I sweat a lot, and so I like an exercise where if I'm sweating, I can dunk under the water. There are only so many times in a day you can see the other fucking wall and then turn around and swim back the other way. It's not much fun, so I decided I'm going to branch out a little bit. I enrolled in a water aerobics class that they offer. So now every other Tuesday and Thursday, it's just me and a bunch of 65-year-old women shredding the pool noodles. It's brutal. Those are some sick games, Agnes. You've really been working on it. I'm proud of you. I don't slap her ass, though. That would be too far. Last thing I'm going to leave you with, I'm a paramedic, and one of the things that I have to deal with as a paramedic is psych patients. And psych patients can go either way. They'll be the most fun that you have, or they'll be absolutely terrible. One other thing I will say about psych patients is they have no filter. They can recognize when you're fat, and they can recognize when you're ugly. And they have no qualms about announcing that to the entire ER. I had another psych patient once. They should have had dementia. It was a very sad situation, but it was hard not to laugh because they told her that she was not going to the hospital, but rather to a restaurant to eat with her son. I don't like to lie to patients. It's not something that I prefer to do. When she asked me what the name of the restaurant was, I just told her the name of the hospital in a French accent. We're on our way to LLOS. And then the last psych patient that I'm going to tell you guys about, I showed up. It was one of my times of COVID, and she was going for a COVID test, which meant that I had to gear up. I had the big yellow gown, I had the face mask, I had the N95 mask, I had the hairnet, I had the boots on, and I'm walking in, and I see this lady sitting in the waiting room of the psych facility. And she looks over at me and she says, "Why is he so big?" And I'm like, oh God, I hope that's not her. And so I keep on doing my job. I get information from the staff, I get her in the ambulance. As we're leaving, she again says to the other person, "Why is he so big?" And I'm like, look, people are fat, it happens. Like everybody knows, like, you don't have to talk about it, people get it. And so we get in the ambulance, and she directly asks me, "Why are you so big?" And I just come out, I don't like to lie to patients. I'm just fat. I got a lot of weight on it. And she looks at me and she says, "Well, it looks good on you. You're sexy like a Ninja Turtle."